of the Media Relations Department for Prince George's County Police Department. We're here to discuss with you the shooting that occurred earlier this morning here in the town of Capitol Heights at the Gateway Village. You will hear from multiple speakers. We will start out with Deputy Chief Administrative Officer Barry Stanton, the Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for Public Safety and Homeland Security. You will then hear from Chief of Capitol Heights, that's Mark Cummings. We will also hear from Deputy Chief Lakina Webster, Major Shanika Smith with the Prince George's County Police Department. DCO?
Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to try to give you an overview of the incident that happened. We're going to have Chief Cummings come forward first, give you the response from Capitol Heights, and then we'll have Deputy Chief Webster provide an overview on what the response of the Prince George's County Police Department, and then at the end of that we'll have our county executive make some comments, and then we'll open it up for any questions. Chief?
Thank you. Good afternoon. At about 9:10 this morning a.m., Capitol Heights Police Department received phone calls of a disturbance at Gateway Village. At that time, officers responded to the scene and found that a young male was at the rear of the building running out and said there was a shooter in the building. The officers made entry into the building, at which time they found victim number one in the corridor. They continued their advance and found a second victim in the office. At that time, they tried to evacuate the citizens of Gateway Village, and we called for assistance from Prince George's County Police Department, at which time we got a great response from them, and we were able to contain the scene. And at this point, I will defer to Deputy Chief Webster.
Good afternoon. As a result of this incident, Prince George's County police officers responded to the scene to provide support for those officers already on the scene, Capitol Heights officers and C. Pleasant. At that time, a barricade situation was called, and we activated our conflict management team, who was actually nearby in training, and they were able to respond immediately to the scene. Upon their arrival, they were able to locate the suspect, and at that time the suspect was apprehended and taken into custody without incident, and along with that our homicide investigators assumed investigation.
Good afternoon, everyone. So we are here today. You know, we woke up this morning and yet another case of inexplicable grief. And so we first of all really want to extend our condolences and our prayers to the families of the victims in this case. We are absolutely devastated about the loss of life again today. And as we think about it, the depravity that we're seeing just not only here in Prince George's, but we're just seeing in general is inexplicable. There really is no good explanation for why this kind of occurrence can happen again and again. We're providing resources as a government, job resources. We're providing all that we can think of, rental assistance. There are just so many sources that we're providing, and we'll continue to do those things. But the heart of a person that's capable of committing this kind of crime is just really is inexplicable. We are at this time, we've turned our attention that we want to thank, first of all, I want to thank the department, thank the Capitol Heights Police Department, Prince George's County Police Department. They did an excellent job in responding, making sure that they were able to make an apprehension that did not result in a further loss of life, and so they did a really excellent job of responding in this case, and they are currently investigating and collecting evidence. The state's attorney is here as well. I want to thank her. State's Attorney Aisha Braveboy and her team are here as well, and we are now turning our attention to make sure that the seniors who are in this facility, who have been temporarily displaced, some are still in place sheltering, but that we are really focusing on providing what we can to them in the way of medicines and food, and just really caring for them in this time. So I don't know if there are, let's see, at this point I'm going to turn it over for questions.
Can you tell us anything about the suspect? I mean, we've talked to a number of witnesses who say this was a resident, lost his job as a maintenance man. Can you get into anything at all?
Right now, we're unable to provide that information to you at this time because everything is it's still an active investigation, and to keep the integrity of the investigation, we're not going to release that information at this time.
Are you able to tell us anything about the victims? Are they women? Are they men? Did they work at the building? Did they live there?
As of right now, we can confirm that it was 2 female.
Okay. Did they live in the building? Were they residents or did they work there?
That is unconfirmed at this time.
Can we ask you, so there was a gentleman who came out and explained some of the details after the shooting. He said that his person who supposedly shot 2 people inside the building had laid down, instructed him to call police, and said that he was not a threat. Can you explain when the barricade situation was called, why, and how the suspect was found inside the building? Did he go downstairs and then go back upstairs?
Well, based on the incident itself, the incident was fluid, and based on how the call went out, and knowing that we had an active shooter inside, that was enough to meet the criteria of calling the actual barricade itself.
Was anybody else injured, or was just the 2 victims, or?
As of right now, we believe that there were just the 2 victims.
A lot of those residents, or all of those residents, were evacuated and brought here to the fire department. How long, will it be before they're able to go back into their homes? Will that happen today, or is that going to be? Are they going to be able to live there anymore?
Let me just say this. We're working on getting them back today. We're working on providing, as the county executive said, any type of support they need medical-wise. And understand some residents were sheltered in place. So we're trying to make sure we address and account for every resident that was there, every resident that's in the fire station. And we think there were about 19 residents in the fire station. So we're doing the best we can right now to account for everyone and as quickly as possible return them back to their facility.
How many people live in the building?
There was 89 total. There was 89 total based on my number, and that's what we're trying to confirm for sure. But right now I've got 89.
Can you confirm that the suspect was a male or was he found with a gun?
I don't want to give any more details right now until the investigation is sort of finalized right now. But right now I don't want to give that information at this point.
What floor was he found on?
Actually found on the 3rd floor.
Can I ask, and I don't know if county executive would like to answer this, but the role of mental health, what role did that play in this shooting?
So we don't know yet what the role of mental health played in this, but as I explained before, the violence that we're seeing now, it is depravity is one word that's associated with it, and we are responding with increased mental health services in the county. We are preparing to open, for example, a new mental health and addictions care facility. We see the need for it here, and we are going to continue to open those services across the county. What we know is that COVID has impacted us in so many ways. We're still learning the true impact of COVID, but we know that mental health has been one of the issues that we believe has worsened. And it's not just for some of our older residents, but we know, of course, for adolescents. And so the government is responding by really increasing the availability of mental health and addiction care services for our residents. But the depravity is really, I'd say still, it's just inexplicable. How you shoot in a senior facility, how you shoot children, all of this is just, there are no words to go with it, and it really is very hard to understand. But we're going to continue to do what we can to provide every service necessary. Jobs, mental health care services, activities for our young people. These are all of the things that we're working on, continuing to provide to make sure that that we spare families from the kind of grief that this particular killing causes.
I think that's probably your response. I mean, we were today, you hit 100 last night, and, there was discussion of that already before this even happened. A terrible milestone, jumping ahead like this. I guess that's what you've just addressed.
It is. I mean, it is a terrible milestone, and and we're not alone in it. What we're seeing is that this kind of violence is happening here. We're responding to it, and it's happening all around. It's across our state. It's across our country. And there is again, I keep using the word because it's the word that keeps coming to mind, is there is a depravity of heart that is associated with a killing like this one.
Can you tell us anything about the weapon that the suspect used? Do we know if he owned the weapon or if this was an illegal firearm?
And all of those things will be subject to investigation and will, and will not be released at this point. But those are all matters that will be a part of the investigation, and the investigation is active right now.
Did anyone give us any information on the history of the facility? One from the county's perspective, have you had any inspections, complaints lodged about quality of services or facility there? And then for the police department also, have you had calls for service to this location before?
And those are all of the questions that we will absolutely be able to answer. We're a few hours into this, but your question regarding the facility is a good one, and we're going to be, that'll be a part of what we investigate.
The call came in at 9, the restaurant after 10. How soon did police get to the scene?
I'll let
Why did it take so long?
The call actually came out at about 9:10. The first unit arrived on the scene at 9:14.
But he was arrested after 10.
No. Yes, he was. And the reason for that is, as Deputy Chief Webster said, it was treated as a barricade situation. So we have to take into consideration the safety of the residents, and we have to do a methodical search to make sure there's not more than one shooter.
Chief, can you tell us anything about prior calls to service to your department for this facility?
We don't get a lot of calls to this facility. My officers actually patrol that area very, very much. We go in and talk to the residents, so we're not aware of any ongoing situations there.
Was the suspect known to your officers?
I don't know if that information is available. I'm not sure.
We've had a lot of people say that this guy, quote, snapped, was he being harassed, and that things were not good in that building. I'm not ready to address those thoughts just yet. Anybody?
No, I mean, at the end of the day, Brad, as you know, this is an investigation. All those things are going to be answered. I'm sure there's rumors out in the community. There's always rumors about who said what or whatever, but until we do our complete investigation, do the background on this gentleman, those kind of things, we'll find out what's going on.
Can you say if weapons were allowed on the premises and how this person was able to have a gun inside the building?
Well, it's an open facility. It's a residence, so they don't manage what weapons or things are brought in. There's no things set up for that situation.
Can anyone tell us what the suspect's going to be charged with initially?
Again, we don't know yet until we see if he makes any comments or any statements. We got to make sure our investigation clarifies everything that went on today, and then we'll decide the type of charges that we decide to charge the suspect. Again, we also got to work with our state's attorney's office to see if the charge is appropriate. We're going to take 2 more questions, and then we're going to close.
So if you could just go over the timeline again. So the call came in around 9:10 in the morning. Capitol Heights Police come to you 9:14. Then at what time did Prince George's County Police come, and what time was the suspect actually arrested?
Prince George's County Police, and I really want to thank all of our partners in the area, Sea Pleasant Police Department, U.S. Park Police. Everyone responded to the scene, and at 9:17 is when the call went out for assistance. I can't give you the timeline of when the suspect was actually apprehended, and Deputy Chief, if you know? Okay. All right, so I can't give you that time.
It's because so many people responded, so many agencies responded to the scene. Who is going to be the lead on the investigation going forward?
Prince George's County Police Department.
All right, thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.